you're not satisfied, you're probably going to go somewhere, and I would say most people would prefer to be porn than other places in general, ladies and gentlemen. In terms of it being a bad form of sex education, yes, maybe the really weird shit. Yes, that might be a bad form of sex education. But, ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't mean that you think that that porn, by and large, is bad or causes more harm than good. Porn, can be a nice thing. It can be good. People can learn from it. People can enjoy it, ladies and gentlemen. Shock horror. I'd like to now just talk about the general areas that I wanted to talk about before they annoyed me a bit. I have to respond. I want to talk about choice and sexual liberation and how, in fact, porn aids in this, and how, in fact, most persons, both men and women involved in porn, choose it. In fact, all those involved in legal porn do. And then I want to talk about how censorship is generally a bad thing, and how the sign of a reasonably advanced and liberal, and I use that word in a positive connotation, a liberal society, one that's advancing, that generally we enjoy freedom of expression, ladies and gentlemen. In terms of choice, as I said there, both men and women involved in this choose it. It's a consensual act between two or more people. Ladies and gentlemen, it does no direct quantifiable harm to any other human being. The only thing they can point to is some indirect moral, or maybe another indirect kind of harm through the one you were talking about in terms of the impact on the partner. In terms of the morals, I think that religious freedom is not reason enough to ban something. If you want to have a look at religious freedom, how about the freedom for those people who are not religious, those who do not share those values? Those people also deserve the right to express themselves in a similar manner, ladies and gentlemen, and that's something that we should agree with and we should support. In terms of this idea that there's a harm maybe to feminism, ladies and gentlemen, this is setting back the feminist movement. I would say that's just not true, ladies and gentlemen. Sexual liberation has been at the heart of the feminist movement, ladies and gentlemen. The ability for women to be seen as not just the slave and servant of a man is an important thing, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's important certainly for development of our culture, and equality and all that. Some people might not think that's there. But in terms of this, ladies and gentlemen, we say most female porn stars are paid more than male porn stars. I think this is probably out of line with the rest of society, but maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's something that we should encourage in terms of creating some kind of gender equality and gender balance. Maybe sexual liberalism, sexualization is not a particularly bad thing in terms of developing our society, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to use an analogy of in terms of determining what kind of choices are legitimate, ladies and gentlemen, I want to have a chat about just the idea of a homemade sex tape at home with your partner. You have sex and film it because that's what you want to do, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think people in general object to that. I think even people who have moral objections to pornography, if it's a loving relationship or whatever, won't really object to that. If whatever, you then decide to show that tape to your friends because sure that's what you get your shits and giggles out of, ladies and gentlemen. What's wrong with that? If it's in a loving relationship, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of the religious moral argument. There shouldn't be, because if that is all that you want, if that is the situation, if that's the prerequisite you put on your relationship, what's the big deal, ladies and gentlemen? Now, what if I want to make a bit of money out of it, ladies and gentlemen, and sell it to my friends? And I want to say, there is no real difference there between pornography in terms of a homemade sex tape. The real difference in terms of the argument is that these people might not be in a loving relationship. Frankly, I think our society is moving away from that. I think our society is right to move away from that, from an outdated, or well, certainly partially outdated sense of a requirement for love in a relationship. There really, ladies and gentlemen, is no problem with, one-night stands, if that's what you're into. The idea that we should be curtailed by the Catholic Church, or by, well, certainly in Ireland, the Catholic Church, ladies and gentlemen, a church that has given us very little in recent times, a church that has kind of undermined an awful lot of how our society has worked, and a church that's been kind of scandal-ridden itself recently, ladies and gentlemen. We think that, Catholic morals are not necessarily the best morals to guide us. Our own sense of internal morals should be that. Whether that be a Catholic sense for some people, and that's fine. But if other people feel differently, that's also fine. In terms of just generally free speech being great and censorship being crap, we think that free speech is a symbol of a free and thriving society, ladies and gentlemen. It is a symbol of our ability to talk back, not only to talk back in terms of government, to talk back in terms of anything, ladies and gentlemen. The ability of us, or for us, to have pornography, something that is deemed risque or whatever in society, shows that our free speech laws are perfectly society are thriving, ladies and gentlemen, that we can talk, we can say what we want, we can express ourselves, and that is a society I am proud to live in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harper. Our next speaker, speaking in opposition, is Ms. Aisling Mulligan.
Really sorry, I'm not on page 51 seconds.
This is her maiden speech, i.e. that she has never spoken before a crowd before. Do not heckle her.
Sorry. I know it's really disappointing, but you can't have any more. Just saying, it's on the other side. So I'm just going to point out basically my first example as to why porn is bad is the second run. All those 5 guys, I'm sorry guys, no one is ever having sex with you in this room. That's how I wanted to start this debate, ladies and gentlemen, because we've gotten very serious. We've gotten into the point of, religion, immorality. And what I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen, is that I think that porn is not necessarily immoral. What I'm going to say is that how people view porn and how the general mainstream people believe that porn is kind of exactly what sex is this portrayal of this, or this example or guidebook, if you will, ladies and gentlemen. That is the problem that we have with porn, ladies and gentlemen. And that's basically what I'm here to talk about, because I'm not going to go that we're going to say anyone who has or jerks off before is a horrible person. What I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen, I think that if you have a girlfriend or you're in a loving relationship and you're jerking off before, I think you're actually insulting your girlfriend. I think that is something that you should really think about when you're jerking off before. It's like, well, why do I need to? I don't. I have a girlfriend. There are better things I could be doing with my girlfriend, and I don't have to insult her and look at somebody else and objectify someone else. And the other thing, ladies and gentlemen, the thing that we want to talk about is that we talk about, I think it was Harper got up and was like, women's rights, woo, and all that kind of stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, I kind of think that porn, particularly like mainstream porn, looks at women in a very come and service the man kind of way. And I don't think that's going to help feminism. I don't think that encourages liberalism. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that it takes it all the way back, going to you do only what you have to do to service the man. And ladies and gentlemen, sex should be enjoyed by both partners, ladies and gentlemen. And that is exactly what porn does not teach. What porn teaches is, and it doesn't teach anything actually, which is another point that I have. But it doesn't. The guy gets off and the girl services that getting off. And ladies and gentlemen, that's just not good enough. That's not something that we, in a liberal society, should encourage or want to encourage. So, part of here talking about, sex education. That will teach you how to nail her, but it doesn't teach you how to please her. And ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly the problem. And that's exactly why most women will get up and say, you know what, I'm not really all right with porn. I don't find it particularly enjoyable, because all I see is a guy, a girl going down on a guy. I don't see a girl, getting any enjoyment out of herself. And that is the problem that we have, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry. Oh yeah, and